Potential rotations. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Guys that might start. Now, granted, this is just for fun because there's no way in hell that I don't know what they have right now or who's doing what. They're just starting practice together as units. So this is just speculation for entertainment purposes only. But I see one guy starting that has started the last couple of seasons. And another thing, you're not going to see the same damn starting lineup week after week or from start of the game to halftime. Because this coaching staff understands sometimes you need to make adjustments. Sometimes it's the other team having to adjust to you, but sometimes you have to make adjustments because of what they're doing. This staff understands that. Sometimes that requires different personnel. Sometimes personnel is not playing properly, and you need to put this guy in instead. Maybe there's foul trouble. Who knows? There will be different lineups. Unlike the last 4 seasons where come hell or high water, the same person was in the same lineup beginning of the game and at halftime. That is gone.
Despite saying we might have to change up the lineup.
Despite me asking that direct question.
Well, yeah, I know. And then getting those answers repeated.
Yeah. But that's one thing. So and then the talent that has come in. The guys that are here, and this includes Trace Jackson Davis. He's not been against this talent. He has not been practicing against this kind of talent. He's probably going to have to go against Race Thompson. Race Thompson's a workhorse. He's going to have to go against Durr, who's a big guy. Miller Kopp, couple inches shorter, but he's going to work.
Yep.
That's the thing that none of these guys have seen in 4 seasons are guys trying to beat them out of their spot because they never had to worry about their spot. Who's gonna beat them out?
Right.
Hell, he was only playing 3 other guys. Nobody. No one is going to beat him out. That's gone. That's different.
Well,
no one has even Trace Jackson Davis does not have a guaranteed starting spot, although he probably does. But
I was going to say, I wouldn't say that. I think he's probably a guaranteed starter. But what I would say is when you're going up against those names that you just mentioned compared to what you've had to go up against in the past, you're not going to get everything at the rim. You're going to have to develop a jump shot. And I think that that's the best way, you be able to extend the defense a little bit. He's going to have to be a better passer. So I think there's going to be aspects of his game. We've talked about this a couple weeks, I think, in a row here, where you've talked about his numbers are going to drop, but his overall talent and his NBA draft stock is going to rise because he's going to develop new aspects to his game that makes him a better all-around player, even though we're going to see, he's not going to be scoring 30% of Indiana's points or whatever it was. So that he's going to develop into a really, really good player. I think he's going to develop into the player we thought he was going to be when he committed to Indiana.
Tim put his potential starting lineup up there of Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Tamar Bates, Xavier Johnson, and Rob Finney. I don't see Race Thompson starting. Xavier Johnson, I do, but because of his numbers, but I don't know what he does here. He's got to prove that here. Based on his numbers at Pitt, yeah, I'll see that. Rob Finney, unless he has a chance, Dane Fife is set on really helping him, but that dude has got to produce some offense. I mean, he's not an offensive, has not been, and he may be able to get that done with this staff, but there's a lot of guys that are not mentioned here that, are a good shot at starting. The first one that comes to my mind is Miller Kopp. But I see you taking, well, you wouldn't take 2 of the bigs out, but there's 3 guards right there. But one of them, Rob Finney, is not offensively minded. So I think that 3 of those are potential. I just don't see that you're going to keep Miller Kopp off the floor. He's a veteran. This dude has started for 3 Big Ten seasons. He's played in the Big Ten. He knows what it's like. He's not a freshman. He's a veteran.
Yeah, but imagine him doing that off the bench. I mean,
oh no, that's the thing this team has.
Well, and that's the thing. You're gonna replace experience with experience. I mean, that's great. You're gonna have a great second unit. And
production with production.
Yeah, and what I'm curious to see is how a guy like Christian Lander kind of fits into this. Parker Stewart, where do they fit in? Is this going to be? I mean, we look at it, and obviously Mike Woodson, but you're going to have 5 backup guys that are going to be really good, and we expect them to be developed. You're going to have a backup to every starter, and we haven't really seen that where. Yeah, guys have had replacements, but you're not getting that kind of production that you need. You might have a guy step up once in a while, but you need that consistently. You need that second unit. If you're going to compete in the Big Ten, you need that second unit to be really good. I mean, you look at Michigan, Illinois, all the teams that were really good last season. I think regardless of who you think is going to be on the starting lineup, whoever you put in that, look at who you got left on the bench. I mean, that's a really good problem to have.
Look at last year's bench. Look at this year's bench.
Correct.
A, last year's bench was very short.
Mm-hmm.
B, who came in that had any offensive output? Hunter is the most, and that was very little. The guy that the guy with the most offensive output off your bench last year was basically told that you're not going to be playing here. So that tells you how bad it was.
Yep.
If that doesn't tell you how bad it was, now, and then you had Anthony Leo and Trey Galloway and Christian come in, but they were just coming in and filling minutes. I mean, Trey Galloway did nothing but run around and run under the basket and throw the ball out. Anthony tried to get some shots off, but there was no offense for him to run to get a shot off. So he was handicapped there, but he's gonna have to work on that. If he wants to play, he's gonna have to be a shooter. And then, like you mentioned, Christian Lander, Tutelage, if he can get the control, and he's got to get his shooting down. He's either got to get his shooting down or focus more on being a playmaker. His shooting was not great last year, but a lot of learning. So that's easily fixed.
Well, and we talked about during the season, I think what's going to help some of these younger kids, some of these incoming freshmen or the guys who were freshmen last season, or guys who even came off the bench, I think you're going to see them play a little bit looser because you're not going to have Archie Miller with that quick hook. You could make a mistake and you're going to play 2 minutes in the game. Or a couple things. I think Mike Woodson, he's coached in the NBA long enough to know, and I think he wants to help these guys get to the next level. They're going to have to play through their mistakes. Even if that means losing a game here or there, they're going to have to play through their mistakes, because if that happens early in the season, you're going to be probably more times than not, you're going to be better off later in the year if they're able to work through those mistakes in live game moments. We're not talking about practice. Allen Iverson, we're not talking about practice. Practice. But I think if you allow those kids, those guys, if you think they can be big time contributors, to come in, play 15 minutes, regardless of how, obviously in situations, but they're going to have to work through some of these mistakes. And that's a problem we saw for 4 years. They were not allowed to play through their mistakes. They weren't developed. We've talked about that endlessly, but I think you're going to see that kind of mentality really help. And that's going to help with their confidence. That's going to make a huge difference.
And not only that, Tony Stuckey on Andy Moore Honda Hotline, I don't think starting is going to be as important to this staff. There could be 15 starting lineups throughout the season. I guarantee you. That's what I just said earlier.
Yep.
Because, it means something if you're starting. I still believe that, because, that's an honor. But I played sports and athletics. Starting is an honor. It means something. They want you on there. But with this, it's going to be a rotation. You may play 10 minutes, 8 minutes. Boom, somebody else comes in, plays another 8 minutes. You come back in. And it's going to be a deal where there's no drop off, no let off.
Right.
That's where you have to be as a team. And of course, you can't be that way 10 deep, or, well, if you are, you're pretty damn good. But that's what makes teams great. When you have little to no drop off. And that's what you have to have. But and to have that, everything has to go into that: recruiting, the development, no egos, team first mentality, having the right players, all of that, coaching staff. Boom. I think all of that is in place. I don't know about the egos of the players because I haven't been around them. But with everything else being equal, we got more to talk about. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more